I am not poisoning them. I am saving them. Just like I am going to save you." The 7-year-old girl's words hung in the air like a death sentence. Caelan Thorne, the most feared vampire lord in North America, stared down at the tiny human child who had just touched his hand and made him feel something he had not felt in 150 years. Warmth. Not burning. Not pain. Just impossible, forbidden warmth spreading from her palm into the place where his heart used to beat. Behind her, his twin sons, his perfectly trained predators, knelt on the cold stone floor of a room that had been abandoned for over a century. Their hands were crossed over their hearts. Their heads were bowed. And they were praying. Praying. His sons were praying with a human child, and everything Caelan had built over 400 years of darkness was about to shatter. But here's what he did not know yet. What none of them knew. The little girl touching his hand was not fully human. She carried blood that could heal the broken, resurrect the dead, and destroy the most powerful vampire. Yes, in existence. And in 72 hours, an ancient enemy would arrive at his gates demanding her life. The question was not whether Caelan would fight. The question was whether a monster who had forgotten how to love could remember in time to save the only family he had left. This is how I became the weapon that could kill him. On that night everything burned. But first, let me take you back to the moment that changed everything. The moment he found us. The moment that made no sense to him. The candlelight made no sense. Caelan Thorne stood in the doorway of the old chapel, every muscle in his 400-year-old body locked in place, staring at something that should not exist. His twin sons, Dorian and Lucien, knelt on the cold stone floor beside a small human girl with wild curly hair and eyes that caught the flickering light like trapped stars. All 3 children had their hands crossed over their hearts, heads bowed in a posture he had not seen in over a century. Prayer. His sons were praying. The little girl's voice was soft but clear, echoing in the abandoned room that still smelled faintly of dust and forgotten faith. Thank you for this day. Thank you for friendship. Protect those we love. Help us be brave. Help us be kind. Amen. And then, like a blade through his chest, his sons whispered in unison. Amen. Caelan's vision went red. The rage came fast and cold, the way it always did when something threatened his control. He had spent 150 years training these boys to be perfect predators. Emotionless. Ruthless. Strong. He had carved away every soft edge, every human weakness, every flicker of mercy. They were supposed to be weapons. Not this. Never this. He moved forward, his footsteps silent as death on the stone floor. The candles flickered. The little girl opened her eyes first. She should have screamed. Should have run. Should have understood what he was the moment she saw his face. Instead, she smiled. It was not a nervous smile. Not a fearful smile. It was warm and genuine, the kind of smile that belonged in sunlight, not in the shadowed halls of Thornwood Manor. We were praying for you, she said. The words hit him like a physical blow. Dorian and Lucien's heads snapped up, their young faces going pale. Father, Dorian whispered. We did not know you had returned. Caelan's hands curled into fists. His voice, when it came, was low and deadly. Stand. Now. The boys scrambled to their feet, their eyes dropping to the floor. But the girl stood slowly, calmly, like she had all the time in the world. She was tiny, barely reaching his waist, wearing a faded purple sweater with a star stitched on the front. She could not have been more than 7 years old. He could hear her heartbeat. Steady. Unafraid. That made it worse. Who are you? He said, his voice like gravel and ice. I am Poet, she said simply. I am Sienna's daughter. Your housekeeper. Caelan's jaw tightened. He knew Sienna, of course. The quiet woman who cleaned his estate, who kept her head down and never asked questions. He had hired her 18 months ago because she was efficient and invisible. He had no idea she had a child. And how long, he asked, his eyes shifting to his son's. Have you been poisoning my heirs with this human nonsense? Lucien flinched. Dorian opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Poet stepped forward. Not toward the door. Toward him. Caelan went still. Prey did not approach predators. Every instinct in her small human body should have been screaming at her to run. I am not poisoning them, she said, tilting her head up to meet his eyes. I am saving them. Just like I am going to save you. The chapel door slammed open. Sienna Calloway stood in the threshold, her face drained of all color, her chest heaving like she had run the entire length of the manor. Her eyes darted between her daughter and Caelan, and the terror that flooded her expression was so raw it filled the room like smoke. Poet, she breathed, her voice shaking. Come here. Right now. But Poet did not move. She reached out, her tiny hand hovering near Caelan's clenched fist. Do not touch me, he warned. She touched him anyway. Her small fingers wrapped around his hand, warm and impossibly soft. And for the first time in 150 years, Caelan Thorne felt something other than cold. Heat. Not burning. Not painful. Just warmth, spreading from her palm into his skin, up his arm, into the center of his chest where his heart had not beaten since 1723. He jerked his hand away like she had burned him. Sienna was moving now, rushing forward, throwing herself between Caelan and Poet with the desperation of a mother facing a loaded gun. Please, she choked out, tears already streaming down her face. Please do not hurt her. She does not understand what you are. I will leave tonight. I will take her and go. You will never see us again. Just please, please do not hurt my little girl. Caelan stared at her. At the way she trembled but did not move. At the way she stood her ground even though every part of her knew he could end her life in less than a heartbeat. Brave. Foolish. Human. His gaze dropped to Poet, who was peeking around her mother's arm, still smiling that impossible smile. Tell me, little human, Caelan said slowly, his voice soft and dangerous. How long have you been meeting my sons in secret? Sienna's breath hitched. She looked down at Poet, confusion and horror mixing on her face. Poet, is that true? The little girl nodded. 6 months, she said. They were lonely. I was lonely. So we became friends. Caelan's eyes shifted to Dorian and Lucien. They stood frozen, identical expressions of guilt and something else, something he had tried so hard to destroy, written across their pale faces. Hope. His voice was a whip. Explain. Now. Dorian swallowed hard. Father, we did not mean to disobey. We were in the garden one evening, and we heard her singing. We were curious. We only meant to observe. But she saw us, Lucien continued quietly. And she was not afraid. She asked if we wanted to play. Play. The word tasted like poison on Caelan's tongue. And you said yes. Lucien nodded. We have been meeting her ever since. In the library. The greenhouse. Here. Caelan took a slow breath, his control hanging by a thread. And the praying? Poet answered before his sons could. That was my idea. They told me they feel empty all the time. Hungry even when they are not. I told them prayer helps when I feel scared or alone. So I taught them. She taught them. This tiny human child had taken his sons, his perfectly crafted heirs, and filled their heads with faith and light and softness. He should destroy her. Wipe her memory. Cast her and her mother out into the night and never think of them again. But then Poet spoke again, and her words drove into him like a stake. "When did you stop praying?" she asked, her head tilting to one side. "Before or after you lost her?" The air left the room. Caelan's entire body went rigid. "What did you say?" Poet's eyes were too knowing, too old for her face. "The woman in the painting. In the room no one is allowed to enter. You loved her. And then she was gone. That is when you stopped, is it not?" Sienna gasped. "Poet, how could you possibly?" Caelan held up one hand, and Sienna fell silent. His eyes never left Poet's face. "You know nothing about me," he said, his voice deadly quiet. "I know loneliness," Poet said simply. "I know what it looks like. You wear it the same way my mama does." For a long moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then Caelan made a decision that surprised even himself. "You will stay," he said. "All of you." Sienna blinked. "What?" "You will remain in this house, under my watch. You will not leave the grounds. And you," he looked directly at Poet, "will continue whatever this is with my sons." Relief flickered across Sienna's face, but Caelan was not finished. "But know this. I do not believe in your faith. I do not believe in your light. I will prove to you that what you are teaching them is nothing but a fantasy. Darkness always wins, little Poet. Always." Poet met his gaze without flinching. "Then I guess we will see." He turned and walked out of the chapel, his mind racing, his body still feeling the ghost of her warmth on his hand. Behind him, he heard Sienna collapse to her knees, pulling Poet into her arms, whispering "thank you, thank you, thank you" into her daughter's hair. But Caelan did not feel merciful. He felt something far more dangerous. Curious. That night, for the first time in decades, Caelan Thorne dreamed. He saw Isolde's face, as clear as if she stood before him. Her dark hair. Her sad smile. Her voice, a whisper carried on a wind that did not exist. "She is the answer, my love. The answer to what destroyed me." He woke in his study, disoriented, his hand clutching the armrest of his chair. And there, standing in the doorway in her faded purple sweater, was Poet. "You called for her in your sleep," she said softly. "Do you want to talk about it? Before you go, I have to know something. Where in the world are you watching this from? Seriously, drop your city or country in the comments because I love knowing where this story is reaching you. And if you are feeling this story the way I am, hit that subscribe button and join the fastest growing vampire love stories community on YouTube. We are just getting started, and trust me, you are going to want to be here for what is coming next. You are special. This is your family now. Do not miss it." 2 weeks passed like a slow unraveling. Caelan told himself he was conducting an experiment. A test. He would observe this so-called faith, watch it fail, and then his sons would see the truth. That hope was a lie. That prayer changed nothing. That the only real power in this world was strength and survival. But the problem was, he could not stop watching. He stood in the shadows of the library as Poet taught Dorian and Lucian a card game, their laughter echoing off the ancient bookshelves. Laughter. His sons had never laughed before. Not like this. Not with such lightness, such freedom. He watched from the second-floor balcony as the three of them played hide-and-seek in the garden at dusk, Poet's delighted shrieks mixing with his sons' voices as they discovered the simple joy of play. He listened from outside the chapel as Poet told them stories. Not dark tales of conquest and power, but stories about stars and dreams and impossible things. And his sons, his perfectly trained predators, sat cross-legged on the floor like human children, eyes wide, completely captivated. It should have disgusted him. Instead, something in his chest ached. Sienna kept her distance, watching Caelan with the wary eyes of someone who knew the axe could still fall. She did her work quietly, efficiently, always making sure Poet stayed within sight. At night, she held her daughter close in their small cottage on the grounds, whispering warnings. But Poet never seemed afraid. She left small things for Caelan. A wildflower on his desk. A drawing of the moon slipped under his study door. A candle, lit and placed in front of Isolde's portrait in the room he never entered anymore. He did not acknowledge them. Did not thank her. Did not even speak to her directly. But he never threw them away. On the 14th night, everything changed. Caelan had not fed in 3 days. He preferred to hunt far from his estate, taking only from those who would not be missed, never killing, always controlled. But he had been so consumed with observing Poet and his sons that he had neglected his own hunger. And now it was roaring. He stood in his study, gripping the edge of his desk, feeling the burn spread through his veins like fire. His vision sharpened. His hearing amplified. Every heartbeat in the manor became a drum, calling to the predator inside him. Sienna's heartbeat upstairs. Steady, tired. The twins in their room. Slow, cold, vampire hearts that offered him nothing. And Poet. Her heartbeat was different. Stronger. Brighter. It pulsed with something he could not name, something that made his fangs ache and his control slip like sand through his fingers. He closed his eyes, forcing himself to breathe, to think, to resist. But then he heard footsteps. Small. Light. Coming closer. No. The study door opened. Poet stepped inside, wearing pale blue pajamas with stars on them, her curly hair pulled into 2 loose braids. "You should not be here," Caelan said without turning around. His voice was strained, rough. "I could not sleep," Poet said. "I thought maybe you could not either. Leave. Now." She did not leave. He heard her move closer, her heartbeat growing louder, the scent of her blood filling the room like honey in sunlight and something ancient he could not place. His hands cracked the wood of the desk. "Poet," he growled, "I am not safe right now. Do you understand? Leave." A pause. Then her small voice, curious and unafraid. "When did you last eat?" "That is none of your concern. Dorian told me you hunt every 3 days. It has been longer. You are hungry." Caelan turned then, and he knew his eyes had gone black, the veins dark beneath his skin, his fangs visible. He looked like the monster he was. Poet took 1 step back. Not in fear. In assessment. "Does it hurt?" she asked. "Yes." She bit her lip, thinking. "Then you should eat. There is no prey here." Her eyes met his, and the knowing in them was far too old. "I did not say there was no prey. I said you should eat." Understanding hit him like a freight train. "No. Absolutely not." Poet took a step forward. "If you are hungry, and you do not eat, you could lose control. You could hurt someone you do not mean to hurt. Dorian told me that too. I will leave the manor. Hunt in the woods. You can barely stand." She was right. He hated that she was right. Poet moved closer, rolling up the sleeve of her pajama top, exposing the pale skin of her small wrist. "Just a little," she said. So you do not lose yourself. The hunger screamed. The scent of her blood was overwhelming, intoxicating, like nothing he had ever encountered. But beneath the hunger was something else. Something that made him feel like a monster in a way he had not felt in centuries. Shame. If I start, Caelan whispered, I may not be able to stop. Yes, you will, Poet said with absolute certainty. Because you are not the monster you pretend to be. How can you possibly know that? Because monsters do not have nightmares about the people they loved. The words broke something in him. He moved faster than she could see, crossing the room, kneeling down so they were eye to eye. You are a foolish, reckless child, he said, his voice shaking. Maybe, Poet said. But you are hurting. And I can help. Is that not what friends do? Friends. This little human girl thought they were friends. His hand moved of its own accord, gently taking her wrist. Her pulse jumped beneath his fingers, but she did not pull away. He could feel the light in her blood. Could sense the power sleeping there, ancient and pure. This will hurt, he warned. I know. He hesitated one more moment. Then he bit down. The first taste of her blood was like lightning in sunlight and something holy all at once. It burned and soothed and filled the empty places inside him with warmth he had forgotten existed. He took 3 pulls, maybe 4, the hunger quieting, the fire in his veins cooling. But then he felt it. Her heartbeat slowing. Panic crashed through him. He pulled back immediately, his fangs retracting, his hand pressing against the small puncture wounds on her wrist. Poet swayed, her face pale, her eyes fluttering. Caelan caught her before she fell, lifting her into his arms. She weighed nothing. Her heartbeat was too slow, too quiet. What have I done? He whispered. But then golden light flickered across her skin. The wound on her wrist sealed itself, the flesh knitting together in seconds, leaving no mark. Her heartbeat strengthened. Her eyes opened. See? She murmured, smiling weakly. You stopped. Caelan stared at her, then at her healed wrist, then back at her face. What are you? Before Poet could answer, the study door flew open. Sienna stood there, her face a mask of horror. Get away from my daughter. Caelan looked down at Poet in his arms, at the golden light still fading from her skin, at the trust in her eyes that he did not deserve. And for the first time in 150 years, Caelan Thorne felt something he thought he had killed long ago. Fear. Not of what he was, but of what he could lose. Tell me something. Do you think Caelan just made the biggest mistake of his life, or did Poet just save him from something worse? Drop your theories below because I need to know what you are thinking right now. And listen, if you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This community is growing faster than wildfire, and we have stories coming that are going to destroy you in the best way. Hit that button. You belong here. Sienna moved like a woman possessed, crossing the study in 3 strides and ripping Poet from Caelan's arms. She stumbled backward, clutching her daughter to her chest, her eyes wild with terror and rage. What did you do to her? Sienna's voice cracked. I saw the blood on your mouth. I saw. Mama, I am okay, Poet said, her small hands cupping her mother's face. I promise. Look. I am okay. But Sienna was not listening. She was staring at Caelan like he was death itself, her body shaking so hard her teeth chattered. You monster, she whispered. I trusted you. I believed you when you said we could stay. And you fed on my baby. Caelan rose slowly, his hands open, non-threatening. He could still taste Poet's blood on his tongue, still feel the warmth of it spreading through him. But more than that, he could see the betrayal in Sienna's eyes, and it cut deeper than he expected. "She offered," he said quietly. "I tried to refuse." "She is 7 years old," Sienna shouted, and her voice shattered something in the stillness of the manor. "She does not understand what you are. What you could have done. You could have killed her. But I did not. That does not make it right." The words hung in the air between them. Caelan had no response. Because she was right. It was not right. None of this was right. Poet wriggled in her mother's arms. "Mama, please listen. I am not hurt. Look at my wrist." Sienna grabbed Poet's arm, pushing up the sleeve, expecting to see torn flesh and blood. But there was nothing. Not even a scar. Just smooth, unblemished skin that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Sienna's breath caught. "How?" "I healed," Poet said simply. "The light came, and I healed." "That is not possible," Sienna whispered, but her voice wavered. She looked at Caelan. "What is happening to my daughter?" Caelan moved to his desk, pulling open a drawer and retrieving an old leather-bound book. He had spent the last week researching, digging through records and histories that most vampires had forgotten. And he had found something. Something that explained the warmth in Poet's blood, the light that healed her, the way his son's hunger quieted in her presence. He opened the book to a marked page and turned it toward Sienna. "Your daughter is not fully human," he said. Sienna's face went white. "What are you talking about?" Caelan pointed to an illustration of a woman wreathed in golden light, standing between a vampire and a human. The text beneath it was in Latin, but he translated. "This is Serafina Voss. A dhampir. Half vampire, half human. She lived 300 years ago and was known as a bridge between worlds. She could heal the sick, purify corrupted blood, and walk in both daylight and darkness without harm." Sienna shook her head. "That is a myth. A story. Poet is her descendant," Caelan continued. "The bloodline has been dormant for generations, but it is awakening in her. That is why she heals. Why my sons feel peace around her. Why her blood tastes like sunlight." Sienna looked down at Poet, her expression caught between wonder and horror. "But my family, we are not, I would know if." "Bloodlines skip generations," Caelan said. "Sometimes for centuries. But the power remains, waiting for the right catalyst." "What catalyst?" Sienna demanded. Caelan hesitated. Then he said the truth. "Love. Sacrifice. Faith. The things that awaken light in the darkness." Poet looked up at her mother. "Is that why I always felt different?" Sienna's eyes filled with tears. "Baby, you are not different. You are perfect." "She is also in danger," Caelan said, his voice hard. "If other vampires discover what she is, they will come for her. Dhampir blood is the rarest substance in our world. It can heal wounds that should be fatal. Extend life. Amplify power. There are those who would drain her dry just to taste that strength." Sienna's arms tightened around Poet. "Then we leave. Tonight. Right now." "And go where?" Caelan asked. "You have been running for 3 years, Sienna. From your ex-husband. From your past. How much longer do you think you can keep her hidden?" The question hit its mark. Sienna's face crumpled. "What do you suggest?" She whispered. "Stay," Caelan said. "Let me protect you. Both of you." "Why would you do that?" "Because." He stopped. The truth was complicated. Because his sons had come alive for the first time in their existence. Because Poet had touched something in him he thought was dead. Because when he held her in his arms, bleeding and fragile and trusting, he had felt something other than hunger. Purpose. Before he could answer, a shadow moved in the doorway. Dorian and Lucien stood there, their young faces pale and serious. "Father," Dorian said quietly, "there is someone at the gate." Caelan's body went rigid. "Who?" Lucien's voice was barely a whisper. "He says his name is Mordaunt Creed. He says he's an old friend. And he's not alone." The blood in Caelan's veins turned to ice. Mordaunt Creed. One of the oldest vampire lords in existence. Cruel, calculating, and powerful beyond measure. They had been allies once, centuries ago, before Caelan had turned away from the old ways. Before Isolde. Before everything. And if Mordaunt was here, it meant someone had talked. "How many are with him?" Caelan asked. 12, Lucien said. "Maybe more." Sienna's voice shook. "Who is Mordaunt Creed?" Caelan did not look at her. He moved to the window, pulling back the heavy curtain. In the distance, beyond the iron gates, he could see them. Figures in dark clothes, standing perfectly still, their eyes reflecting the moonlight like animals. And at the front, tall and silver-haired, stood Mordaunt. Even from this distance, Caelan could feel his power pressing against the wards of the estate like a hand around a throat. "Caelan," Sienna said, her voice rising. "Who is he?" "He is the reason you cannot leave," Caelan said quietly. "Because if you run now, he will hunt you down. And he will not stop until he has what he came for." Poet's small voice cut through the tension. "He knows about me. Does he not?" Caelan closed his eyes. "Yes." A raven hit the window with a sharp crack, making them all jump. It left a small scroll tied to its leg, pressed against the glass. Caelan opened the window. The scroll was sealed with blood-red wax, stamped with Mordaunt's sigil. He broke it open and read. The words were written in elegant, mocking script. "I hear you have gone soft, old friend. Harboring human pets. Breaking our sacred laws. Teaching your heirs to kneel. I am coming to remind you what happens to weak lords. You have 3 days to prepare your defense. I do hope you have not forgotten how to fight." Beneath the signature was a second line, added almost as an afterthought. "Oh, and Caelan? I know about the Dhampir child. Such a rare treasure. I cannot wait to meet her." Caelan's hand crushed the letter. Sienna was pulling Poet toward the door. "We are leaving. Right now. We will go to the car, we will drive, we will." "No," Caelan said, his voice cutting through her panic like a blade. "You cannot stop me. If you leave these grounds, Sienna, you will be dead before you reach the highway. Mordaunt has already surrounded the estate. He is not bluffing. And he is not merciful. Then what do we do?" Sienna's voice broke. "What do we do?" Caelan looked at her. At Poet. At his son standing in the doorway, fear and determination warring on their faces. And he made a choice. "We fight," he said. "All of us. Together." Sienna laughed bitterly. "I am human. Poet is a child. How exactly are we supposed to fight a vampire lord?" Caelan's eyes met hers, and something in them had changed. Something had hardened. Something had ignited. "You let me worry about Mordaunt," he said. "You just keep her alive. No matter what happens. Do you understand?" Sienna stared at him. Then she nodded. Poet reached out and took Caelan's hand. "We will be okay," she said softly. "I prayed for you, remember? And prayers get answered." Caelan looked down at her small hand in his. At the light that flickered beneath her skin. At the impossible faith shining in her eyes. "Let us hope you are right, little one." Because 3 days from now, everything they had built was going to burn. 3 days felt like 3 minutes. Caelan spent every waking hour preparing. He reinforced the wards around the manor. Stocked weapons he had not touched in decades. Sent messages to the few allies he still had, knowing most would not come. Vampire politics were brutal. No one risked themselves for a lord who had gone soft. Sienna kept Poet close, barely sleeping, her eyes constantly scanning the shadows. She asked Caelan 100 questions. What is the trial? What are the rules? What happens if you lose? He answered only one. If I lose, you run. The twins trained with their father in the courtyard, moving faster and harder than they ever had before. But between drills, Caelan caught them sneaking away to the chapel with Poet, their small voices rising in whispered prayers. He did not stop them. On the third night, as the clock struck 9, the gates of Thornwood Manor opened. Mordaunt Creed arrived like a king. He was tall, easily 6.5 feet, with silver hair that fell past his shoulders and eyes the color of frozen steel. He wore a black suit that looked like it cost more than most people earned in a year, and he moved with the kind of confidence that came from never losing. Behind him came 12 vampires, all ancient, all powerful, their faces carved from stone and shadow. The Elders. The ruling council of the old world. They were judges, witnesses, and executioners all at once. Caelan stood on the front steps of the manor, his sons on either side of him, watching as Mordaunt approached with a smile that did not reach his eyes. Well, Mordaunt said, his voice smooth as silk and twice as dangerous. The mighty Caelan Thorne. I had heard rumors, but I did not believe them. Tell me, old friend, is it true you have been kneeling to humans now? Careful, Mordaunt, Caelan said quietly. You are a guest on my land. Do not forget it. Mordaunt laughed, a cold sound that echoed off the stone walls. A guest? No, Caelan. I am here in an official capacity. You have been accused of violating our most sacred laws. One of the elders stepped forward, a woman with bone-white skin and black eyes. She unrolled a scroll and read in a voice that sounded like wine through a graveyard. Caelan Thorne, you stand accused of allowing humans unrestricted access to vampire secrets. Of exposing your bloodline to mortal corruption. Of teaching your heirs the weakness of human faith. How do you answer these charges? I answer that my house is my own, Caelan said. What I teach my sons is no concern of the council. It is every concern of the council, the elder replied, when your actions threaten the secrecy and strength of our kind. Mordaunt stepped closer, his eyes glittering with malice. You have gone soft, Caelan. Ever since a soul died, you have been a shadow of what you were. And now you harbor humans like pets, let them poison your sons with their pathetic prayers and fragile morality. It is an embarrassment. You are an embarrassment. Caelan's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Mordaunt's smile widened. The council demands you turn over the humans for proper disposal. Immediately. No. The word cut through the night like a blade. Mordaunt raised an eyebrow. No. They are under my protection, Caelan said. And they will remain so. Then you leave me no choice. Mordaunt gestured, and 2 of his vampires moved aside. A figure stepped forward from the shadows, and Sienna, who had been watching from the manor doorway with Poet, went completely still. The man was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair and a cruel smile that Sienna knew better than her own reflection. Derek. But he was different now. His skin was too pale. His eyes too sharp. His movements too fluid. He had been turned. "Hello, Sienna," Derek said, his voice dripping with false sweetness. "Miss me?" Sienna's hand went to Poet's shoulder, pulling her daughter behind her. "You," she breathed. "You did this. You told them about us." Derek shrugged. "I have been watching you for 2 years, darling. Did you really think you could hide from me forever? And when I discovered where you were, who you were working for, well, let me just say Mordaunt was very interested in what I had to share. Interested enough to offer me a gift." He bared his fangs, and Sienna felt her stomach turn. "You cannot hide our daughter from me anymore," Derek continued. "She belongs to me. And soon, she will belong to Lord Creed." "Over my dead body," Sienna hissed. "That can be arranged," Derek said with a grin. "Enough," Mordaunt said, raising a hand. He turned to Caelan. "Bring out the dhampir, child. Now." Caelan did not move. Mordaunt's smile faded. "Do not make this harder than it needs to be." The front door of the manor opened. Poet stepped out, slipping past her mother's grasp before Sienna could stop her. She walked down the steps slowly, her small frame dwarfed by the vampires surrounding her, but her head held high. Sienna screamed. "Poet, no!" But Poet kept walking until she stood between Caelan and Mordaunt. Mordaunt stared down at her, his nostrils flaring as he caught her scent. Then his eyes widened, and a look of pure hunger crossed his face. "A dhampir," he whispered. "A true dhampir. I have not encountered one in over 200 years." He reached for her, but before his hand could touch her, 2 small bodies stepped in front of Poet. Dorian and Lucien. The twins stood shoulder to shoulder, their young faces set with a determination that shocked every vampire present. "Do not touch her," Dorian said. Mordaunt blinked. Then he laughed. "Excuse me?" "If you want her," Lucien said, his voice trembling but firm, "you go through us." The courtyard went silent. Caelan stared at his sons, something breaking open in his chest. Mordaunt's laughter died. He looked at Caelan. "You have taught your heirs to die for humans? How pathetic." "They taught themselves," Caelan said quietly. "Then let me teach them the price of defiance." Mordaunt moved like lightning, reaching for Dorian. But Poet's hands shot out, and golden light exploded from her palms like a flashbang. Mordaunt stumbled back with a hiss, smoke rising from his sleeve. The elders gasped. Poet stared at her own hands, shocked. I did not mean to." Mordaunt's face twisted with rage and greed. "Yes," he breathed. "That power. I will drain every drop of it." Derek lunged for Poet in the chaos. Sienna threw herself at him, tackling him to the ground, her fists flying. He shoved her off easily, laughing, but she kept coming, clawing and screaming and fighting like a woman with nothing left to lose. "Enough!" Mordaunt roared. He raised his hand, and every vampire in the courtyard went still. "I invoke the trial by blood," Mordaunt said, his eyes locked on Caelan. "You and me. To the death. If you win, I leave and the humans stay under your protection. If I win, your territory becomes mine. Your sons become mine. And the dhampir becomes mine." Caelan stepped forward. "I accept." "The trial begins at midnight," Mordaunt said. "I do hope you have made peace with whatever god you no longer believe in." Caelan did not answer. As the vampires retreated to prepare, Caelan pulled Sienna aside. She was shaking, blood on her knuckles from where she had hit Derek. "If I fall," Caelan said quietly, "you take the children and run. There is a sanctuary in southern Oregon. A place that protects those fleeing vampire territories. Memorize this. 1447, Ashwood Road. Repeat it." Sienna's eyes filled with tears. "You are going to win. You have to." Caelan looked across the courtyard to where Poet stood with his sons, their small hands clasped together. For the first time in 150 years, he said softly, "I have something worth fighting for." But as he turned to prepare, he saw Mordaunt speaking with one of his vampires. Saw the flash of a small vial, dark liquid inside. Silver poison. Mordaunt was not planning to fight fair. And Caelan had no idea if he could survive what was coming. Who are you rooting for? Drop a heart if you are Team Caelan or a fire emoji if you think Mordaunt is going to win. I need to know where your head is at because this next part is going to wreck you. And if you have not subscribed, do it now. You are part of this family. Do not miss what happens next. Midnight came too fast. The courtyard had been transformed into an arena. Torches lined the perimeter, casting dancing shadows across the stone. The elders sat in a semicircle, their faces carved from ice in judgment. Mordaunt stood in the center, rolling his shoulders, his silver hair gleaming in the firelight. He looked like a god of death. Caelan stepped into the circle, and the air itself seemed to hold its breath. He had removed his coat, wearing only a black shirt and dark pants, his movements controlled and deliberate. But Sienna could see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands flexed at his sides. He was afraid. Not of dying, but of failing. The white-eyed elder stood between them, her voice carrying across the courtyard. The terms are set. This is a fight to the death. No interference. No mercy. The victor claims all. Do you both accept? I accept, Caelan said. As do I, Mordaunt purred. Then let the trial begin. The elder stepped back, and the world exploded into violence. Mordaunt moved first, a blur of speed and power that would have killed a lesser vampire in seconds. But Caelan was no lesser vampire. He had been fighting for 400 years, and he had survived things that would have destroyed others. They collided in the center of the circle, the impact sending a shockwave through the ground. Stone cracked. Torches flickered. The sound of flesh hitting flesh echoed like thunder. Sienna held Poet close, her heart hammering in her chest. The twins stood frozen, their eyes wide, watching their father fight for their lives. Caelan was faster than Mordaunt expected. Stronger too. Within the first minute, he had landed 3 brutal strikes, sending Mordaunt stumbling back, blood on his mouth. Mordaunt wiped it away with a smile. There you are, he said. The real Caelan Thorne. I was beginning to think you had forgotten how to bleed your enemies. Caelan did not respond. He pressed the attack, his movements precise and deadly. A strike to the ribs. A blow to the jaw. A kick that sent Mordaunt crashing into the ground. The elders leaned forward, their expressions shifting from boredom to interest. Mordaunt was losing. But then, as Caelan moved in for the finishing strike, Mordaunt's hand flashed out. Something glinted in the firelight. A blade, small and black, coated with liquid that shimmered like oil. Caelan saw it too late. The blade sliced across his forearm, barely a scratch, but the effect was immediate. Silver poison flooded his veins like acid. His entire body locked up, agony ripping through him from the inside out. He gasped, stumbling back, his hand clutching the wound. Father! Dorian screamed. Caelan fell to one knee, his vision blurring, his muscles seizing. The poison was designed to paralyze, to burn, to destroy from within. He had seen vampires die from half this amount. Mordaunt stood, brushing off his clothes, the poisoned blade still in his hand. Did you really think I would fight fair, old friend? Power is not about honor. It is about winning. He walked slowly toward Caelan, savoring every moment. The elders did nothing. This was a trial. Interference was forbidden. Even cheating, it seemed, was allowed. Caelan tried to rise, but his body would not obey. The poison spread like wildfire, eating away at his strength, his control, his very will to fight. His vision darkened at the edges. In his mind, he saw Isolde. Saw her face the day she died. Heard her last words. Do not leave them alone. Promise me. He had failed her once. He could not fail again. Mordaunt stood over him now, the blade raised. You lost yourself the moment you let them into your heart, he said. Love is a disease, Caelan. A weakness. And weakness always loses. The blade came down. But before it could strike, a small body slammed into Mordaunt from the side. Poet. She had broken free from her mother's arms and thrown herself into the circle, her small frame colliding with Mordaunt hard enough to knock him off balance. Sienna screamed. Poet, no. Mordaunt recovered instantly, his hand shooting out and grabbing Poet by the throat. He lifted her off the ground, her small legs kicking, her hands clawing at his fingers. Perfect, Mordaunt hissed. I will finish him, and then I will drain you dry. Caelan tried to move, tried to stand, but the poison held him in place like chains. He could only watch as Mordaunt's fangs extended, moving toward Poet's neck. Stop! The voice was Sienna's, raw and desperate. She stepped into the circle, her hands raised. Take me instead, she said, her voice shaking but firm. Turn me. I will serve you. I will do whatever you want. Just let my daughter live. Mordaunt paused, intrigued. You would become a vampire? For her? Yes. Derek, standing at the edge of the circle, laughed. Now this is entertaining. Poet struggled in Mordaunt's grip, tears streaming down her face. Mama, no. Do not do this. But Sienna was not looking at her daughter. She was looking at Mordaunt, offering herself, willing to become the thing she feared most to save the person she loved most. And something in that moment, that sacrifice, that impossible love, reached through the poison and the pain and touched Caelan's frozen heart. He remembered Isolde making the same choice. Stepping into sunlight to save their sons. Burning. Dying. Sacrificing everything. And he realized something. Love was not weakness. It was the strongest force in existence. Caelan's eyes snapped open. The poison still burned, still tore at him, but he did not care anymore. He rose, every movement agony, his body screaming in protest. But he moved anyway. Because he had something more powerful than survival driving him now. Purpose. Mordaunt turned just as Caelan's hand wrapped around his throat. The shock on Mordaunt's face was almost worth the pain. You are right about one thing, Caelan said, his voice like gravel and iron. Love is powerful. That is why you will never understand how to wield it. He ripped Mordaunt away from Poet, throwing him across the courtyard with strength that should not have been possible. Mordaunt crashed into the stone wall, cracks splintering outward from the impact. Caelan advanced, his body breaking down with every step, but his will unshakable. Mordaunt scrambled to his feet, fear flickering across his face for the first time. You should be dead. I have died before, Caelan said. I will not do it again. They collided once more, But this time it was different. Caelan fought with something beyond technique, beyond power. He fought with everything he had learned in the last 2 weeks. That strength was not just physical. That love could fuel you when nothing else could. That protecting the people you cared about was worth any price. But the poison was winning. His vision blurred. His movements slowed. Mordaunt saw it. Smiled. Pressed the attack. And then, light exploded across the courtyard. Poet stood 20 feet away, her small hands outstretched, golden light pouring from her palms like rivers of sun. Her eyes glowed with power that had been sleeping for generations, awakened now by desperation and love and the need to save the people who had become her family. The light struck Caelan's back, and he felt the poison begin to burn away. Not all of it. But enough. Enough to fight. Enough to win. Mordaunt recoiled from the light, hissing. Impossible. Dhampir powers do not mature until we choose love over fear, Poet said, her voice echoing with something older than her 7 years. Caelan and Poet moved together. Dark and light. Vampire and Dhampir. Death and life united in purpose. Mordaunt tried to run. He did not make it 3 steps. Caelan's hand pierced through Mordaunt's chest from behind, closing around the ancient heart that had beaten for over 1,000 years. This is for Isolde, Caelan whispered. For my sons. For every innocent you destroyed. He crushed the heart. Mordaunt's scream cut off as his body began to crumble, turning to ash that scattered in the wind. Within seconds, there was nothing left but dust and the echo of his final breath. The courtyard went silent. Derek, seeing his master destroyed, tried to flee. But Sienna was faster. She grabbed a fallen torch and swung it like a weapon, driving him back. You do not get to hurt us anymore, she said, her voice steady and strong. You do not get to chase us. You do not get to win. Derek looked at her, at the woman he had abused and controlled, now standing against him without fear. One of the elders gestured, and 2 vampires seized Derek, dragging him away. The trial is won, the white-eyed elder declared. Caelan Thorne is victorious. But Caelan did not hear her. He collapsed. The poison, even weakened, had done its work. His body hit the ground hard, his breathing shallow, his heart struggling. Poet ran to him, dropping to her knees. No. No, I healed you. I saved you. But the light was fading from her hands, exhausted from the effort. Sienna joined her, pulling Caelan's head into her lap. Stay with us. Please. The twins knelt beside their father, their faces stricken. Caelan's eyes found Poet's. You did save me, he whispered. All of you did. His eyes closed. His heartbeat slowed. Stopped. Poet's tears fell onto his face. She placed both hands on his chest, closed her eyes, and began to pray. Not with words this time. Just with everything inside her. Every hope. Every ounce of love. Please, she whispered. Please do not take him. Not now. Not when he finally found his way back. The twins, without speaking, placed their hands over hers. Sienna did the same. And then, impossibly, some of the elders stepped forward. They knelt. They bowed their heads. Light began to fill the courtyard. Not just from Poet. From all of them. From the connection they had built. From the faith they had found. From the love that refused to let go. The light grew brighter, brighter, until it consumed everything. And in the silence that followed, there was only one sound. A heartbeat. The silence shattered with a single beat. Then another. Then another. Caelan's chest rose. His eyes opened, but they were different. Still vampire, still ancient, but warmer somehow. Less like winter. More like dawn. He stared up at the faces surrounding him. Poet, tears streaming down her cheeks. Sienna, her hand over her mouth. His sons, holding on to him like he might disappear. And behind them, the elders, standing in stunned silence. What happened? Caelan's voice was rough, barely a whisper. Poet smiled through her tears. You came back. Caelan lifted his hand to his chest, feeling the impossible rhythm beneath his ribs. A heartbeat. Vampires did not have heartbeats. It was the first thing they lost when they were turned. But his heart was beating now, slow and steady, a drum that had been silent for 400 years. How? One of the elders, an ancient vampire with silver scars across his face, spoke. Dhampir blood does not just heal, Lord Thorne. In rare cases, when given freely, with love, with sacrifice, it can restore what was lost. You are still vampire. Still immortal. But you are also something else now. Something we have not seen in a millennium. What am I? The elder's expression was unreadable. Changed. The word hung in the air like a promise and a question all at once. Caelan sat up slowly, his body still aching but functional. He looked at Poet, at the light still flickering faintly in her eyes. You gave me more than healing, he said softly. Poet nodded. You needed something to fight for. Now you have it. The white-eyed elder stepped forward, her expression carved from stone. The trial is complete. Mordaunt Creed is destroyed. By ancient law, his territory and assets are now yours, Lord Thorne. But the question remains. What will you do with this victory? Will you continue as before? Or has this night truly changed you? Caelan looked around the courtyard. At the ashes of Mordaunt scattered across the stones. At the vampires who had watched him die and rise again. At Sienna, standing protective over her daughter. At his sons, who had learned to pray and fight and love in equal measure. He stood, his movements still unsteady but growing stronger with every breath. I do not want to rule through fear anymore, he said, and his voice carried across the courtyard with quiet authority. I have spent centuries building walls. Destroying weakness. Punishing mercy. And it made me powerful. But it also made me empty. Some of the elders shifted uncomfortably. Caelan continued. Thornwood Manor will become something new. A sanctuary. A place where those who are running, who are hunted, who are caught between worlds can find protection. Vampire, human, or anything in between. If they seek redemption, they will find it here. You would shelter humans? One of the elders asked, his voice dripping with disdain. That is madness. Perhaps, Caelan said. But I have learned that madness and miracles often look the same. Several of the elders turned and walked away, their disgust evident. But others remained, watching Caelan with something that might have been curiosity. Might have been hope. The scarred elder spoke again. This is a dangerous path, Lord Thorne. There will be others like Mordaunt. Others who see your mercy as weakness. Then they will learn the same lesson he did, Caelan said. That love is not weakness. It is the most dangerous weapon in existence. The elder studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. We will be watching. The remaining elders departed, disappearing into the night like smoke. Derek was dragged forward by two vampires, his face twisted with rage and fear. Sienna stepped toward him, and for a moment, Derek's expression shifted to something like hope. "Sienna," he said. "Please. We were married. We have history. Tell them to let me go." Sienna looked at him for a long moment. Then she spoke, and her voice was steady as steel. "I am not who you tried to make me anymore," she said. "I am not weak. I am not afraid. And you have no power here. You never will again." She turned to Caelan. "What will you do with him?" Caelan's eyes were cold. "You are banished from my territory. Forever. If you return, if you come within 100 miles of this place, I will finish what I should have done tonight. Do you understand?" Derek's face crumpled. "But I have nowhere to go. You turned me into this. You owe me." "I owe you nothing," Caelan said. "But I will give you one gift. Your life. Use it wisely." The vampires dragged Derek away, his protests fading into the distance. Sienna turned to Caelan, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you. Thank your daughter," Caelan said quietly. "She saved all of us." The courtyard was empty now except for the 5 of them. Caelan, Sienna, Poet, and the twins. A family that should not exist. A family that had fought death and won. Dorian stepped forward hesitantly. "Father? What do we do now?" Caelan knelt down so he was eye level with his sons. "Now," he said, "we learn. Together." Lucien's eyes widened. "Learn what?" "How to be more than what we were made to be," Caelan said. "How to choose light even when we carry darkness. How to protect instead of destroy." Poet took his hand. "And how to pray." Caelan looked at her small hand in his, felt the warmth still radiating from her skin. "Yes," he said softly. "That too." They walked together into the manor, leaving the courtyard and its ghosts behind. But before they went inside, Poet paused. "Lord Caelan? There are others. Other children like me. Other families running and hiding from people like Derek. From vampires like Mordaunt." Caelan looked at Sienna, at his sons, at this strange and beautiful family he never planned. "Then I suppose we have work to do," he said. Sienna smiled, the first real smile Caelan had seen from her. "A sanctuary needs a lot of rooms. We can help," the twins said in unison. Caelan felt something unfamiliar pulling at the corners of his mouth. A smile. The first smile in 150 years. "Yes," he said. "I think we can." That night, they returned to the chapel. The same room where everything had started. Where Caelan had found his sons kneeling in prayer beside a little girl who should have been afraid but never was. The candles were lit. The room was warm. They knelt together. All of them. Caelan, Sienna, Poet, Dorian, and Lucien. Caelan's voice was rough, uncertain. "I do not know how to do this." Poet squeezed his hand. "Just talk. Like you are talking to someone who loves you." Caelan closed his eyes. The words came slowly at first, then faster, like water breaking through a dam. "Isolde," he whispered. "I am sorry I lost my way. I am sorry I let the darkness consume me. But I think you sent me a light to find my way back. I do not know if I deserve this second chance. But I will not waste it. I promise you that." The twins whispered, "Amen." Sienna whispered, "Amen." Poet whispered, "Amen." And Caelan Thorne, the 400-year-old vampire lord who had forgotten what it meant to hope, whispered for the first time in 150 years, "Amen." As they stood to leave, Poet's voice cut through the quiet. They say monsters cannot change, she said softly. That darkness always wins. But I learned something that night in the chapel. Darkness is not the opposite of light. It is just waiting for light to arrive. And sometimes the smallest light can transform the deepest dark. My name is Poet Calloway. And this is the story of how I found my family in the last place anyone would look. Caelan placed his hand on her shoulder, and for the first time in longer than he could remember, he felt peace. Love does not make you weak, Poet said, looking up at him. It makes you worth saving. And in that moment, in that small chapel filled with candlelight and impossible faith, Caelan Thorne finally understood what it meant to be alive. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in second chances and impossible families, hit that subscribe button and join the fastest growing vampire love stories community on YouTube. We have so many more stories planned. Stories about redemption, revenge, forbidden love, and families that break every rule. You are special. You are part of this family now. And trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming next. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you pray for if you were Poet? I will be reading every single one. Welcome to Thornwood. Welcome home.